Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Rhyme of the Times for the week ending 28th of October 2023. The world asks why Gazans still die from bombs dropped from the sky as Israelis defy ceasefire cries and decry what Guterres implies. Rishi tries to theorise about what may arise in a future with AI. In Maine, 18 die. Surprise at the size of England's cricketing demise, while an unconverted try means the All Blacks can't prize away the Boks prize. Goodbye to two nice guys. The Hamas horror didn't happen in a vacuum, said Guterres, and it really made Israelis fume. They felt the UN chief was morally out of tune when he said it on Monday, and they quickly assumed it was a wrong interpretation of historical facts to legitimize Hamas and its brutal acts. So the fallout from Israel and the UN falling out was Israel giving Guterres a right calling out. 7th of October 2023 wasn't the start, we all know. So how far back in history should we go? Palestinians and Jews have fought since 1948, since the UN gave the Jews their own sovereign state. Some say we should go back to the book of Genesis to find out when they became each other's nemesis. The UN discussed a ceasefire, but none was agreed, and it's something Israel is unlikely to heed. The world could take their humanitarian lead, but they are not in the mood right now to accede. For retribution there's a hunger, a real greed, and Netanyahu could sense his people's need. But there are many Israelis who also plead for their loved ones held as hostages to be freed, and raiding Gaza will not help negotiations succeed. It was a tough call for Netanyahu indeed. By Saturday the decision seemed to be made after 2 days of reconnaissance raids. No more probing, no more fleeting forays, the full-scale ground invasion would get underway. And so there is a fear that other nations will exploit and exacerbate this situation. Parts of North Israel have been evacuated as Hezbollah in Lebanon are getting agitated. The USA intercepted 3 missiles from Yemen, and we know from where this hostility is stemming. The West considers Iran as a bad world actor, a Hamas and a Hezbollah benefactor. Russia and Iran had a big tete-a-tete in Moscow on Friday. The two terror states met, and a Hamas delegation was also in the room. Not just to make up the numbers, we presume. A new axis of evil, some commentators call it. The plebs of the world just want the hard men to cool it. Like Zelensky last year, Netanyahu's keen to make the claim that human civilization is at stake. Could this be a persecuted state's hyperbole? We all have to hope the answer is probably. Meanwhile, the BBC continued to resist referring to Hamas as terrorists. We must be impartial, the Beeb's top brass insist, despite several ministerial slaps on the wrist. On Thursday in London, Sunak spoke ahead of a summit next week on future AI spread. Should we regard it with optimism or dread? A bit of both is what our Prime Minister said. Then again, Rishi didn't seem to know a lot. Who knows, maybe he was, in fact, just a bot. On Wednesday in the US, Maine was dealt a wild card. Locals in lockdown, scared and emotionally scarred. 18 people had been shot dead by Robert Card. The police searched for 2 days, long and hard. When they finally found him, he was already dead. He had administered a gunshot to his own head. Jared Golden, the local Democrat congressman, had opposed a semi-automatic weapons ban. For a Democrat, it was an unusual stance to take. After this mass shooting, he accepts his mistake. But it's unlikely to make much of a difference to the gun lobby and Republican indifference. The high-flying All Blacks were put back in their box by the unrelenting, uncompromising Boks. By 12-11, South Africa kept the World Cup, the first team to defend it and not give it up. While the Rugby World Cup ended Saturday, the Cricket World Cup is barely underway. 8 days and England's trophy defence is in tatters, with bad batters and bowlers battered by batters, thrashed by the likes of Afghanistan, and England collapse that's hard to understand. On Monday, the impresario, Bill Kenwright, died, 78 years old, with loved ones at his side. In the theatre world, he was loved and revered. In football administration, his career careered. 19 years as chairman of Everton FC, there's divided opinion on his legacy. After 12 sound years, his club became awash with an Iranian billionaire investor's dosh. Everton became a byword for profligacy, with an indiscernible recruitment policy. But out of the mayhem and boardroom lunacy rose a concrete result that we will all soon see. A brand new stadium on the banks of the Mersey. R.I.P. Bill, and may the fans show you mercy. On Saturday, the world also said goodbye to another personable, kind of guy. Matthew Perry died at home. He was just 54, famed as a Friends actor, but he was so much more. In one interview, he made a prediction that his death would result from his addiction. He frequently opened up his heart to talk of the demons that tore him apart, to discuss his illness, to help others understand it, accepting the fate that he had been handed. Thank you, Matthew, for being so candid.